Hey, Cal here with another video. Today I'm going to be looking through a box set. I'll be going through that today. And what we're talking about today is the Brilliant Adventure era box set from David Bowie. Okay, this covers the years 1992 through to 2001. Now, with this box set project that EMI have been putting together, Bowie obviously was active in the late 60s through to the mid 2010s when he sadly passed away. And this is I believe the third edition of this. The first era covered the 1968 through to 1975, I want to say. The second one dealt with 75 through to, I want to say, 88 or 89. So it covered stuff from the Berlin trilogy, stuff that he did with Brian Eno, through to Never Let Me Down. And on this one, we're going from 1992 on to the 2001 era. So what you get here is basically a little folio holder here with all of the CD. This is in the CD version, obviously. And you also get a mini hardcover book that has lots of lyrics, photos, promotional material. You can sort of see extensive liner notes on production and songwriting. And then you have the CD cases themselves, which are in these digipacks. And so this covers the studio albums, but it also has a bunch of extra discs, which I'll go through now. Now, at the time, this was exclusive to the box set, but then has since been released separately. It's the same thing, and that's Toy. Okay, and this is a posthumous release with stuff that was, I believe, created during the Heathen sessions. Well, I could be wrong. But this is a really interesting set of songs from his later period. Another one that we get is a BBC Radio Theatre performance from 2000. Okay, now this is actually pretty cool. Because it comes with it's a 2 CD actually. Got 2 CDs in there, and there's an array of songs just from across his career. So he does Wild as the Wind from Station to Station, Ashes to Ashes, Absolute Beginners, The London Boys, Fame, Hello Space Boy, I'm Afraid of Americans. Yeah, this is actually really good. And then the last special disc that comes with it is called Recall 5. And I believe that this Recall, the reason why it's Recall 5 is these ones, let's say, okay, there's 3 discs here. And in each box set, I believe there has been a recall edition in each box set. So this is why it's called that. But what this is era-specific B-sides and soundtrack songs that were in movies. They might have been different versions for international markets. Like on here you have Jump They Say in a 7-inch version, Don't Let Me Down and Down, and an Indonesian vocal version. You've got a live The Man Who Sold the World. You've got edits of 7 Years in Tibet. And then you've got, different versions of Thursday's Child, Nomad Soul version, The Dreamers, Something in the Air, American Psycho remix. So that would have appeared in that film. Yeah, and so there's a few rarities there. So I'll go through these sort of quickly and have a little bit of a chat about them. I think one of the interesting things about the 90s period for David Bowie is that it's pretty often maligned or a forgotten period of his career. I think the consensus of Bowie being, master of his craft from the years of 1969 through to 1980 and 81, I think is a consensus that I'd like to debunk slightly, because I still think his classic stuff's been put out during that period. But we've got some really good stuff in here where he was experimenting with jungle and house music. So a lot of EDM stuff coming out of the UK at the time he was influenced by. So we've got Outside here. And Outside would have to be probably my favourite of this era. Outside is a concept album based on a play that he wrote, and it's based music of the play called The Diary of Nathan Adler, or The Art Ritual Murder of Baby Grace Blue, which is a mouthful, right? And it just comes with, you can't really read it here, but it comes with basically a backstory about Baby Grace, and there's a whole story behind it. And it's obviously, it's laid out, line on notes are laid out like a diary with the days and dates. But it's a really interesting album. I think this is probably his most conceptually rich work in the 90s. And it's got some really good. Heart's Filthy Lesson, that's a really good track. Hello Space Boy. I've not been to Oxford Town, which is great. A really, really good song. So Outside, really good. These are all reissued and are all available on streaming, because they had actually been out of print for a while. The next one that people probably know mostly about is this one called Earthling. And this is where David Bowie really got into EDM influences. There's the inside there. Have a look at that very, very 90s art design there. This album is quite consistent as well. Little Wonders opens it up. Satellites, Telling Lies. I'm Afraid of Americans is the one that everybody knows off this one. That was the single off it. And it's just very electronic influenced as what he was doing at the time. Not really regarded upon release, but has actually been reappraised recently. Now we've got Hours, which would be, I believe, one of the last albums of the 90s, if not actually the first album of the 2000s, if I can read this. Too small, can't read it. But yeah, it's either 1999 or 2000 hours. This was a sort of throwback to a more conventional style of songwriting that he was doing, a la Hunky Dory and Aladdin Sane, albeit with a more sort of sound of the millennium in the production. It's a very, very good album. The more conceptual work he was doing through the 90s, so with this one here, The Buddha of Suburbia. And this is the one that I have least listened to probably over the time. Yeah, my personal memory stock for this album is made up from an almighty plethora of influences and reminiscences from the 1970s. And he shares something interesting here where he says, here below is just a tiny selection of what went through my mind while writing. And I'll just tell you a few things here. Free association lyrics, Kraftwerk, Pink Floyd, Bromley, Ronnie Scott's Club, Travels Through Russia, Pet Sounds, Loneliness. So this might give you a little bit of an idea on what he was going for. And his mode of working actually throughout this one, I think he really tried to get back to some of the techniques he used when he was doing stuff with Eno, using Eno's infamous cue card technique called oblique strategies, and I think he's incorporating a little bit of that into his creative process. But all in all, I would say that if you're interested in David Bowie, it's definitely a look. You should definitely check it out because there's some really good stuff in here. The extra discs are a bonus, really. It's just the cherry on top of what's already a good package. But I mean, you don't have to buy it, the box set. You can stream it. All of this is available to stream. And that's it. I'll be going through the Herbie Hancock box set that's just behind me there in the next one. And I'll see you soon.